Hey everyone, and welcome to Boston, where I'm at for today's session on LinkedIn for job seekers, and welcome to the post-event portion of the Texas Conference for Women. So I'm going to jump right into my presentation. This is a much shorter session than I typically give. I typically speak for an hour or more, and I want you all to get as much out of this session as possible. So I'm going to talk pretty quickly. I know I'm from the East Coast, so we tend to speak pretty fast anyways, but I also will cram a lot into this. Don't worry, it's being recorded. If you miss something, if you don't, take down a note, we will get you the recording as well. And one thing I'll share is that I don't believe in death by PowerPoint. So this will just be a couple slides before we get into a live demo of LinkedIn. So I will use my own LinkedIn as a demo platform. You are welcome to pull up your own LinkedIn on your desktop or your phone, and I'll show you some things that you can start changing right away within the session. So let me get started with a quick overview. For anyone who's been to these conferences in person, you've probably met me or at least heard me because I'm very, very loud in the expo session. And I run these sort of sessions all day long for the Texas Conference for Women, Watermark Conference for Women, Massachusetts Conference for Women, and a whole host of other conferences. So while I speak largely on LinkedIn for the Conferences for Women organization, I also teach across all social media channels. I do social media workshops for sales teams. And the reason I'm telling you this is because if you need help, if you need a speaker for your organization, your group, maybe even just a group of friends, I'm happy to come, happy to help run a virtual session like this. You will see my contact information at the bottom of all of these slides. The best way to reach me is actually either through Twitter or through email. And the reason I don't put LinkedIn there as the best way to reach me is because, as you might imagine, since I speak on this topic, I get inundated with messages on LinkedIn. So I'm still digging out from the last speaking opportunity that I had. So if something's urgent, get at me either through Twitter or through my email, and we'll send those out through the chat as well so that you have them. And my final thing to offer you is if you've just, had it, up to here with your LinkedIn profile, you need some hands-on help. You want someone to help you write your LinkedIn profile. We'll send you a link as well for my partner who will interview you and help write your LinkedIn profile on your behalf. So that's a service that we offer. So anyways, hi, welcome. My name is Amanda Healy. A little bit about me. I work full-time for Cisco. I run our brand marketing team for IoT. When I'm not doing that, my side hustle is traveling around the world, speaking at conferences back when travel was a thing. Now I'm speaking virtually at another number of conferences and a number of companies on the topic of social media and personal branding. I typically run this session with a foundational course on personal branding, but given that we have a very short amount of time, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Quick housekeeping items. As I mentioned, this is being recorded. By the way, I geek out when you live tweet me. So if you find something helpful, valuable, or just have a question, my Twitter handle, again, is at the bottom of these slides. Live tweet me, ask it, or comment it. At the end of the session, that's immediately jump onto Twitter and see those tweets. Ask questions when you have them. So we will have a Q&A portion. You can type your question in as soon as it pops into your mind. I don't want you to forget it. And then we'll be collecting those and teeing them up at the very end. And we already talked about if you need help, how to reach me, and the fact that we will help you write your profile for you. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into the demo. I'm going to give you a lot of homework items, but I promise, A, that they'll be fun, and B, that we can make them work for your schedule, regardless of what that schedule is, regardless of if you have a full-time job or you've got a family at home or whatever that busy schedule looks like, we're going to make it work for you. And I'll also show you the 5 most viewed areas of your LinkedIn profile, especially the most viewed by job entities, whether that's a hiring manager or an HR representative. What are they looking at on your profile and what are they looking for? And we'll show you how to optimize them as well. Okay, man, I'm speaking, I think, as the quickest that I've ever spoken. So let me stop sharing this and then I will go ahead and share my own LinkedIn profile. Yeah, right, here we go. And like I said, pull yours up as well, because I'm going to show you how to do a lot of things within this demo and some of the things you can actually get started on during the session if you so choose. So I'm going to give you 2 pieces of homework before we even get into the demo. And these are easy ones, I promise, and they're not going to trip you up. The first piece of homework I need you to do is find a time on your schedule every single day that you can spare 15 minutes. So for me, I actually do it around 2. So 2 to 2:15 is like my sweet spot. You could pick 3. You could literally pick first thing in the morning, whatever it may be. I want you to create a meeting invitation for yourself, and you can make a private one if it's on Outlook. You can do it through your Google Mail or Gmail, but I would actually prefer it if you're in a job now, put it on your corporate calendar, because that is something that you're always paying attention to versus maybe your personal one. Anyways, I want you to put 15 minutes on your calendar, like physically make a reminder in your phone or through Google Calendar, whatever. And it's going to pop up on your watch or on your phone, and it's going to say something like personal branding time or focus on LinkedIn or whatever you want to term it. Again, this will be a private meeting, but you are going to spend 15 minutes every single day working on your LinkedIn presence or your social media presence. And the good news is I'm going to give you so many homework items out of this meeting that you'll have a task to do almost every day. But I also will share with you, what to do in 15 minutes a day, whether it's, checking your analytics or adding a few new connections or going through your messages. Spend that time how best it will benefit you and your job seeking and your opportunities. And again, I'll show you different things that we can leverage that time for. But by putting a meeting on your calendar, you create a habitual behavior. No one is going to manage your job seeking for you. No one's going to manage your online brand for you. This is up to you and you alone. So you've got to dedicate that time, regardless of what pops up in your day. Okay, I need to go sit down and work on this for 15 minutes. And what's 15 minutes really? I think I can brew a coffee in maybe 10, And treat yourself afterwards. If after you conquer that item for 15 minutes, maybe you do get yourself a coffee, or maybe you go for a walk, but build it into your lifestyle. Make it part of just who you are and who you're becoming. Your next piece of homework, Google yourself. Put your name into Google search and take a screenshot of whatever comes up and put it into a Word document. And then go on the images tab and do the same exact thing. Why? Because our brands are a mix of how we see ourselves and how others see you. And especially in 2020, the first way that they're probably going to see you is by Googling you. So if you send me an email, or I don't know, I receive a phone call and your name pops up, the first thing that I do is put your name into Google. What is coming up? Is it your own LinkedIn profile? Is it somebody else's? Is it something completely unrelated to who you are? Is your LinkedIn profile really low on the list? Take a screenshot. And then same goes for images. Maybe there's a photo of you that's tagged to your name and you didn't realize it was public, or maybe there's a really old article that you were featured in and there's an image shared from that. Take a screenshot of that as well. Why? Because we can't change or evolve our brands unless we know where we stand today. As a third homework item, this is super optional, but when I teach my personal branding course, it's something that makes a massive difference when it comes to building your brand. This homework item is to create a survey. Super simple survey, by the way, SurveyMonkey, free, maybe 5 questions. And it's a personal branding survey. It's an assessment to find out how others perceive you. I would ask the question first, how do you know me? Are you a colleague, friend, family, whatever kind of category you want to put in there? Let people know that it's anonymous. From there, what's the first word that you think of when you hear my name? Third question, what is the biggest strength that I bring to the table? And then other questions are optional, but really those 3 questions are going to immediately get you some answers. You could also ask, what makes me different from other people? You could even ask what is something that I should work on? That won't be part of your brand, but that's just a nice way to understand, what are some of the weaknesses that you may have that you might want to start to work on as well. Anywho, send this survey out to 10 to 15 people. By the end of that, you will start to see trends. And what's interesting about this survey is that sometimes our biggest strength is so innate to us and so just intuitive to us that we do it as if it were breathing. So when I conducted this survey for myself, the number one strength and just overall trend that I saw was the term energy. And that was not something I ever really thought of as being part of my brand or a biggest strength. And maybe as you're on this webinar, you're like, well, duh, you have a ton of energy. Or maybe you're thinking, okay, well, maybe it's that positive energy. But that's not something that had come to mind. And now that I know that it's part of my brand and it is something that I want it to be part of my brand, I can exercise that and use that as the strength and a differentiator, not only quote unquote in real life, but also in my online channel. So third homework item was the 360-degree survey. It's totally optional, but I think you might be surprised at what comes back. Okay, jumping into LinkedIn. I'm going to start with my number one pet peeve about LinkedIn. So whenever I tell people that I'm a speaker on this topic, the most common response I get is, oh my gosh, I love LinkedIn. It's like your online resume. I hate this term so much. Online resume. No, if you're treating LinkedIn as your online resume, you are leaving behind so many features, functionalities, and opportunities that this platform can afford to you. Think of LinkedIn as your personal branding platform, as a way to tell your story. Because if we're thinking of a traditional resume, your resume only tells me what you do. Your LinkedIn will not only tell me what you do, it will tell me why you do it, and it will show me how you do it. LinkedIn is the most powerful platform on the market for not only building your brand, but receiving opportunities. And beyond job opportunities, this platform can afford you opportunities such as thought leadership, the ability to be an influencer, to level up in your current company, to build your network, to get investment dollars for your startup, to sell a product. The list goes on and on and on. It is not purely an online resume. It is an unprecedented, powerful platform to build your brand and drive opportunities in an inbound fashion. I'm a marketer by day, so inbound meaning, opportunities coming to your inbox that you weren't applying to or actively seeking, or maybe didn't even know that you could have. What I like to do when I teach my personal branding course is give you this kind of idea in your mind. I would like for you to picture yourself on the show Shark Tank. And hopefully you've seen that show or know a little bit of it. And you're standing in front of the sharks. You're in the spotlight and you're about to pitch and sell your product to the sharks to get them to invest in it. And that's the basic premise of Shark Tank. But the product that you are selling or pitching to the sharks is yourself. What would you say? How would you pitch yourself? What is your unique value? Why should these people invest in you? What makes you different from similar competition in the marketplace? This is kind of personal branding in a nutshell. When we start to think of ourselves as products, whether that's a comfortable, scenario for you or not, the exercise of personal branding will become a lot easier. So start to frame yourself in that context. And I'll actually use that example as we go throughout the profile, starting with the very top. So if I'm thinking of myself as a product, the very first thing that I see when I go to someone's page is their cover photo. A product equivalent to the cover photo would be your wrapper. It would be the outer coating, the first thing that someone sees when they consider your product. Obviously, that's in a brick and mortar sense, but I almost picture when you're a kid and you're going through, you're at the supermarket with your parents and you're going through the line and you look at the wall of candy and there's all of those different packaging. Which one is going to call out to you? So here's your next piece of homework. And this is a really easy and fun one. So maybe you put this on your schedule for tomorrow's meeting, whichever you choose. But I need you to get a cover photo. The greater bulk of LinkedIn users, right around 80%, do not have a cover photo. Instead, they have this god-awful blue constellation stock banner that is doing absolutely nothing for their personal brand. So my first piece of, advice here is get something, anything. It could be polka dots for all that I care, but put something there because immediately you will stand out. This used to be a paid for feature. It is no longer a paid for feature. Some people don't realize that, but it's a great way to start to connect a visual element of your page to your brand. And I've actually done a lot of the work for you, meaning I have Googled it for you. So use this search, LinkedIn cover photo, as a Pinterest of sorts. As we scroll down, you'll see a lot of overhead desk shots. You'll see a lot of city skylines. And these are great. Like there's lots of examples and free stock photos that you can use to start with. And that's totally fine. But over time, the next challenge would be, well, instead of this stock photo of a desk, why don't, many of us are at home. Why don't you make, a nice aesthetic look and feel for your own desk and take a picture of your own desk and use that? Or instead of this generic cityscape, wherever you live or whatever you enjoy doing, go outside and grab a photo. Make sure it's horizontal, obviously, because that's the layout, but it's much more powerful to have your own proprietary content. The third step of the LinkedIn cover photo is to tie it back to your personal brand. So for me, my personal brand's all about storytelling. In my day job at Cisco, I'm helping tell the story of our IoT or Internet of Things portfolio and helping elevate our customers and their stories. In my side hustle, I'm helping people like you all find and hone and speak your story. This is what I'm all about. This is what I love to do. And so my cover photo is that in a nutshell. I was presenting at the Watermark Conference for Women and teaching people like yourselves how to level up on LinkedIn. So start to think about this over time, but in the near term, get yourself a placeholder, some sort of cover photo. From here, I'm going to cover the top 5 most viewed areas of your LinkedIn. LinkedIn does a study every year. They have retina tracking goggles on focus group participants, and they look at where do people spend the most time and where do they look first. And this is really critical when you're thinking of a recruiter coming to your page or even a hiring manager. I run a team at Cisco, and when I'm hiring, the very first thing that I do, I open the resume and I kind of don't really look at the resume, to be quite honest. I click immediately and I go off of the LinkedIn. Of course, I'll kind of compare and contrast to make sure the LinkedIn is up to date. But by and large, I leverage the LinkedIn entirely for the start of the job process. I can learn so much more about you through this platform versus just a static resume. Ergo, all the way back to the beginning of this, LinkedIn is not your online resume. It's so much more than that. So the number 1 most viewed area of your LinkedIn profile, and also the most amount of time spent on your entire profile, is your headshot. And if you are thinking of yourself as a product, your headshot is the literal face of your brand. It is your logo. And therefore, it should be a logo that you feel best represents you. I have a few tips for you when it comes to headshot. It actually has nothing to do with what you look like. It has much more to do with the following factors. First of all, is it a recent photo? I know that many of us think that we can get away with like a 5 years old photo, or a more flattering photo, or whatever it may be. Scrap it. People connect with people. We want to see your authentic self. If you're in a suit in your profile picture and you haven't worn a suit in years, ditch it and get a new one. Same goes for little things like glasses or hair color. If you've made some changes like that, just scrap it. Grab a new profile picture. It's not as difficult as you may think, because the other requirements of a good photo, aside from being recent, are resolution. So I work with a lot of executives, and they're the guiltiest of all. They have low resolution photos. You need a high resolution photo that doesn't appear grainy or blurry. You are immediately losing credibility when you A, don't have a profile picture, or B, have an out-of-date profile picture and then you're on camera with a recruiter, or C, have a low resolution or grainy one. The other thing you need to stay away from is having any kind of noise in your profile picture. Meaning if it was you and I don't know, your daughter, and then you cropped your daughter out, sorry daughter, and there's like this half an arm, you got to scrap that. It looks so unprofessional to have a cropped photo that has another person or animal or anything else in it. Even it goes for, maybe you were speaking at a conference and there's just like all this noise in the background, like I don't know, maybe you're on a conference floor like I used to speak on, scrap that as well. You need to be the focus of your profile picture. You'll notice on mine, it's just a calm, light gray background. Other backgrounds that work great are brick, any kind of foliage. Using portrait mode on your iPhone, if you have that capability, is a really great place to start. And then finally, lighting is everything. Do not shoot your photo inside. Trust me on this. Go outside, take your camera, and just start to move until you see the light that is most flattering for you. You're going to be much happier with those pictures. The final tip, smile. I know some of us want to be taken, seriously, and you see like those people with, I call them the author photos, with their like hands like this and a stern look. Picture yourself if you were at a cocktail party. Are you going to go up and talk to the person on the side that's like this with a stern, like resting what face? Probably not. The same goes for LinkedIn. We want to connect with people who look approachable, friendly, inviting. So keep those aspects in mind. So when someone goes to connect with you, all that they will see is your profile picture, your name, and your title. So because we know this is the #1 most viewed area of your profile, this is your next piece of homework. get a new headshot if you need one, and follow all of those tips that I mentioned. I'm going to pause from the top 5 and I'm going to show you one of my favorite ninja tricks. Note that you can only do this on your desktop. You cannot do this on your mobile phone. So if you're not on desktop, that's fine. You can do this at another time and we'll send out the recording. But you are going to hit edit public profile and URL. And this is a gold mine because it shows you what your profile looks like to someone who has never connected with you. It shows you how it looks like to someone who might not even have LinkedIn. This is just through Google search. Why is this so important? When I get brought into companies, often I will run workshops for employees around employee development, and I'll take volunteers from the audience and I'll optimize their profiles in real time. I was doing a workshop like this for Walgreens headquarters out near Chicago, and I had 10 volunteers and I pulled up all of their LinkedIn profiles, and of those 10, 8 did not realize that they had set their headshot to be private. And I will show you how to ensure that this is not the case for you. They had set their headshot to only be viewable by people they were already connected with, which is a huge mistake, because if you're not displaying a headshot, 80% of LinkedIn users will not connect with you. So here's a great and easy way to make sure that your headshot is public. You're going to do exactly what I just showed you. Hit edit public profile and URL. And if your headshot is set to private, you will see it here. It'll be just like a gray box with a white outline of a person. If that's happening, and you're probably going to be very surprised, like, oh my gosh, I didn't set it to that. It happens. I will show you how to change that. And regardless of if it's showing, I want you to go and do me a favor and ensure that your profile picture is not only visible to everyone, but also visible on search engine. So here's how you do it. Over here in this box here, under edit visibility, first of all, you're going to make sure that this is on. You're going to make sure that this is on, but here's the profile picture specifically. So those Walgreens employees, as I mentioned, they were set to only their network. And then some had all LinkedIn members. What you want to do is hit public, because now you're attaching your page with your name. So when I search for your name in Google, you're controlling what is coming up. It should be your profile. We're taught at a really young age that first impressions are super important. What we're not taught is that we would be in the middle of a pandemic and our first impressions are going to be a digital first impression, meaning that I'm going to Google you and I'm going to come across your digital profile, such as LinkedIn, before I even meet you. And maybe I never meet you. I think that's becoming more and more the case. The benefit of this is that we can control our online first impression so much more easily than our physical first impression, right? When I shake your hand and I introduce myself, a number of judgments or perceptions come to mind, but that I can't control, versus, when someone comes to your LinkedIn profile, you're controlling everything. You're choosing the picture, you're choosing the words, you're choosing what you display here. So very, very powerful tool to make a lasting and powerful impression, especially when it comes to seeking out that next job. Under here, you can control what is showing on your profile. As a best practice, hit show for all of this. It's a professional channel. You shouldn't be posting anything that you wouldn't want others to see. I keep it completely open. This will help you from a search engine perspective as well. And then your final piece of homework within this page is to make sure that your URL is customized to your name. This is free. So go in there. If it has any letters or numbers, delete those out. You want it to be just your name. And if your name's not available, you can do things like a hyphen, an underscore, a period, whatever. But try to keep it to only your name. Why? Search engine purposes. When I search your name, we want this profile to come up. The other good thing is, once you have your name in here, you can go and copy this link and put it everywhere. Put it in your email signature, put it in your Twitter bio. Mine's in here, right here. Put it, I don't know, in any place possible, on your business cards. Again, as a hiring manager, I can tell you firsthand, I use LinkedIn implicitly. I really don't leverage the resume. I'm a visual learner. I want to be able to see who you're connected to, the types of recommendations that you have, and I want you to show me your work. And we're going to get into that shortly. Okay, so we're off of the ninja trick and we're back to your regularly scheduled programming. We're on to number 2. The second most viewed area of your entire profile is your headline. If you are thinking of yourself as a product, This is like your jingle. This is your tagline. This is the main takeaway of your personal brand. So here's first of all, people don't realize that you can edit this. You can change it to whatever you like. Mine should say head of brand marketing at Cisco IoT. It doesn't, because I've changed that. So here's your next piece of homework. This is not a difficult one either, but maybe you put it for, I don't know, Friday, Monday, your choice. I want you to list out 10 to 15 keywords that you want to be known for or attributed to. For example, when someone searches on this keyword, and you want to be showing up in search for it, what is that keyword? For me, it's things like IoT, marketing, keynote, speaker, social media, branding. And that's already, I don't know, say 7 or 8. And then I would build out, the additional up to 15. Once you have that list of keywords, I want you to create 4 different headlines. And just to remind you, your headline is right here. Create 4 different headlines. Those could even just be a variation. So maybe I start with national keynote and then I go into some of the other stuff. Or maybe it's totally different. Before we start the exercise I'm about to walk you through, I want you to do this first. On your homepage, go into your analytics. So I just clicked here and then you'll see who's viewed your profile. I want you to take a screenshot of this and put it into that Word doc that we already started. Why? Because this is your benchmark. Before you make any changes that we've talked about today and some of the homework items that you'll have, take a screenshot of here so you know where you were at before you started making those changes. Okay, so once you have that screenshot, and you have your 4 headlines, pick a day and time that you're going to keep consistent to switch in a new headline. So you could do, say, Monday at 2 p.m., switch in your new headline. Let it sit for a week, and then Monday, at 1:30, you take another screenshot, and then you switch in your new headline at 2. Do that for 4 weeks. Again, you can pick whatever timeline works best for you. If you want to do it every 2 weeks or every month or whatever, just make sure the amount of time between the headlines is the same so that you have a pretty good way to measure it. I fondly term this Amanda Healy science because it's fuzzy at best, but it's really one of the only ways that we can understand, well, how is my headline resonating with my audiences? How are my views going up or down? What kinds of messages am I receiving? What kind of connections? And by the end of that testing period, you will know which headline is providing the best results for you. And you can stick with that, or you can choose to update it at another time. And again, just always let the metrics guide you as much as you can. Okay, moving on to the 3rd most viewed area of your profile. This is going to take you the most amount of time. So I would put this, maybe for next week or end of next week, whatever. It's your summary. I said that LinkedIn is not, just what you do, but it's also why you do it and how you do it. Your summary is your place to shine. I see so many of the same summaries over and over again. I'm a seasoned veteran, jargon. My skills include. No one is reading that. I certainly am not reading that. What I am reading is something that tells me what drives you and where you've been and where you're at now and where you're going. Take me on a story, on a journey with you. Picture myself and yourself out to coffee or out to drinks in a post-COVID world. And I ask you to tell me about yourself. What would you say? You would not say, I'm a seasoned veteran and my skills include this, this, and this. You would tell me who you are and who you're trying to be. So tell me that story and make sure you're using some of those keywords that we put on that list from your headline. The more times you use the same word on your profile, the more that LinkedIn's algorithm will associate your name with that particular term. So if you want to be found, so to speak, for a certain skill or a certain topic, say demand generation, then you sure as heck better have demand generation in your headline, in your summary, and all throughout sprinkled into your profile. Use the same exact term. So my huge challenge to you, and this is a totally optional homework item, but a lot of job seekers have taken me up on this and they've seen tremendous results, is to film an about me video. So I asked you that question, tell me about yourself. Film your answer to it, film it horizontally, and then upload it into your media here. This is an incredibly powerful way for a hiring manager or an HR representative to get a sense of who you are, and keep it to 30 or 20 seconds or less. I'm telling you, so many people that have done this and taken me up on it, not only have they had job opportunities, they've had multiple job opportunities, competing job opportunities, but even opportunities to be on webcasts, on podcasts, things that they never, ever expected. I even had one lady who people assumed she was a video expert based off of her, the video she created. And then we're actively coming to her for advice on how to film their own About Me video. It is incredible. So very, very optional piece of homework. But anyways, this is where you bring it to life. So after you've written your summary, share media with us. Do you have a presentation or a video, or maybe you put your resume here? You can upload it directly. Just make sure you watermark it so that people cannot steal it or leverage it for their own benefit. Because we're super short on time, I'm going to jump straight into the fourth most viewed area of your profile, which is the most surprising in my opinion. It's skills and endorsements. So these are very, very highly ranked from a search perspective. So first of all, take inventory. What is showing up as your top 3 skills? And then edit those as to what should be showing up. You can go back to your list of 10 to 15 keywords and make sure your top 3 keywords are what's showing up here. You would just unpin whatever is pinned, and then you would pin the one you want, and then you can drag and drop in whatever order is most important to you. Try to get as many endorsements for a critical skill that you possess as possible. You can even trade endorsements. If you have a couple friends on LinkedIn, hey, could you endorse me for this, this, and this? Obviously, their face will show up next to those endorsements. So they'll want to make sure that you actually are skilled in that area, and same goes for whoever you endorse. But this is a great way, because when someone types in social media marketing, I have something like 300 endorsements for that. And what that means is when they type in social media marketing, not only does my profile come up first or in the top, but it also comes up on the top for a Google search. And what that means for me is opportunities, speaking opportunities, consulting opportunities, job opportunities, you name it. So really pay attention to the skills and endorsements. And, you can take a skill quiz to decide, what skills you should have there. You can start to type in new skills, and they'll even suggest some to you based on your profile. The final most viewed area of your profile, the fifth, if you're keeping count, is the Yelp of your profile. It's those recommendations, the long form ones. Try to aim for at least one recommendation per position, and also be mindful of those that you've given. So when I hire to my team, I always look at the recommendations that the candidate has given to other people. This is a great way for me to understand how they write, how they perceive value, how they take something complex like a human being and really dial it down into the core message. And for me, that's really what marketing is all about. It's that ability to storytell. And this is a great way for me to catch a peek at that. When you ask for a recommendation from someone, make it very prescriptive. Tell them exactly what you're looking for. I would love for you to talk about XYZ project. Maybe you could mention XYZ milestone or XYZ metrics. The easier you make it for someone to write a recommendation for you, then more often you'll see them do it versus not do it. And you'll also be a lot happier with the end result, because you will have helped shape that. So because we are, I believe, at the end of our time, I will pop out of the sharing mode, and then we'll tee up any questions that you guys have had or continue to have. Again, I'm very reachable. You can absolutely contact me through Twitter, through Gmail. And as I mentioned, we have a service to help you write your profile too. So we'll send you that as well. Okay, so is a family photo okay for a cover photo? Honestly, I think this could go either way. What I would suggest to you is that LinkedIn is not Facebook. It absolutely has a personal branding value, but I feel like when you start to get into family photos, it becomes too much like Facebook and too much on the personal side versus professional side. What I like to see instead, as an example, is I've worked with a lot of people who are in HR, and they posted a cover photo that was like their team outing, or they had an event at their place of work and everyone's in the t-shirts, or maybe I'd love to see if you're really into the community, something with a community, fundraiser that you were doing, or if you're really into mountain biking, maybe something of that nature. I think that people get uncomfortable with family photos, and this is just me being completely honest to you. I think it's almost invasive. People feel like they're prying too much into your life versus something that's a little bit more topical, like a hobby, or a little bit more approachable, such as a hobby or a volunteer aspect or a community aspect. So in general, I would say, stay away from that. Even if you're working in a family oriented or looking to work in a family oriented industry, I think there's, more powerful images that can be used versus using a family photo. I would actually prefer for you to use a stock photo of something more generic than get to that level of personal. Okay, any other questions? Can you move around the recommendations? Yes. So you cannot change the order of them, but you can kind of play around with archiving them to get the order that you want. So I'm going to very quickly share my screen because when I'm in the screen sharing for this, I can't see your questions. So let me go very quickly and show you how to do that. In your recommendations, I have like 45 recommendations, and you'll notice I'm only displaying 15, and that's on purpose because no one's going to read 45. So anyways, as you go scroll down, you'll notice that you can hit show or hide, and it's just a toggle. You can do it at any point. So what you might want to do is hide all of them and then start adding the ones that you want to show until you reach the order that you prefer. And so like I purposely will often have one recommendation for my day job and then one recommendation for my side hustle. So then if like someone's coming for a speaker, they can read a recommendation for that. Or if someone's coming for a marketing leader, they can read a recommendation about that. But people don't realize that you can toggle these on and off. You can ask for revisions. It's pretty extensive tool within recommendations, better than it used to be at least. So let me get out of sharing and then we'll take another question. Do you accept random LinkedIn requests from people you have never heard of? I don't, but should I? This actually begs another aspect of best practices as well. Whenever you are connecting with someone, always add a note. Even if you know them personally, even if you're standing next to them, again, in a post-COVID world, and they're, we've just had a chat and we're adding each other, write exactly, how you got connected, what you talked about. This creates like notes for yourself so that you'll always know the day and time that you connected with them and the circumstances and any other relevant kind of aspects or context. To go back to your original question, no, I do not add random people. I will see their connection request and I will click on them and I will read through their profile and look at any mutual connections. But if they haven't added a note, 9 times out of 10, will let it chill. Like if they didn't take the time to write me a note and make it personal and give me any sort of context, then I have no interest in connecting with them unless I can understand the value that they are going to bring for my network. So that's why I really emphasize adding that note, because you're already making it easier for the person to accept you because they have some context. And even if you don't know them, maybe you talk about, like, oh, I saw this blog that you wrote and I found this, and this interesting. Or, hey, I saw you speak at the Texas Conference for Women and XYZ. Like put something there to make it valuable and easy for them to accept you. I can probably take maybe one more question. How many skills? So unlike Instagram, you do not cap out at the amount of skills that you can put on your profile. You can have 30 and there's no penalty for having more versus like when you use too many hashtags on Instagram, your content gets hidden. That's another topic for another day. But what I would actually say is I encourage you to put as many as you would like there. What I will say to you is if you choose to delete one at any time, it doesn't get archived, like it's just gone. And anybody who recommended you for that skill is also gone. So you might want to leave a few open spots in case, you get along in your career and there's a new skill you want to add. But if something is just totally not relevant under there, like working remotely or something to that extent that you feel is not part of your brand or part of your skill set or strength, you can totally just delete that out. But again, only your top 3 that you pick are going to show there. So while you can have up to 30, many people are not going to click to see all of the ones that you have. So make sure those top 3 are really the hardest hitting. All right, I can maybe take one more question if we have it. Okay. I think we're good. Sorry, guys. It's like a one-way communication here, so I can't see or hear you or see your questions as they come in, only as they get served up to me. So one thing I will tell you, we're going to send out the link to this service that I offer called Level Up Your LinkedIn. The process is really simple. My partner, Alexis, works with you, gives you a call, tries to understand, what are your objectives with job seeking? What are the types of opportunities you're looking for? And what are you looking to build as your brand to attract those opportunities? And then we go and write the profile for you and help you get those views, help you secure those opportunities. It's a really great program and very limited lifting on your side. We help you do it all. But what I'll say to you again, I geek out about the live tweets. So if you had anything today that was valuable or any questions, at Amanda_Healy, Healy, would love to hear from you. And it's been a pleasure. I hope that you got a lot of fun homework items, but homework items that you can make work for you. And I wish you the best in your job seeking. You've got this. Thank you, everyone. Bye.